Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. It's Francis Smack. Hi everyone, today I'm in my kitchen and I'm about to show you how you can make this traditional Irish recipe perfect for celebrating St. Patrick's Day. Either, beforehand, before you get to your drink on, or if you don't drink at all, it's a great way on how to celebrate. And also, it's a perfect recipe to just enjoy all year round. The reason why, of course, I'm doing this right now is because St. Patrick's Day is on the horizon. I'm not the biggest drinker. I like to drink, but really this holiday is not pertaining to me at all, but it does for some people, and any excuse to bake, I am all in for it. So today I'm going to be showing you how you can make a traditional Irish soda bread recipe. It only has 4 ingredients, maybe 5. When I say maybe 5, I'm gonna let you know what I mean in just a second. But it's no yeast, so no rise time. It's so quick and fast, and you can make it within an hour. It's incredible, and enough of the hype. I'm just going to jump right in and show you what you need, and you can follow along with me on how to make this recipe. But before we get into that, please make sure you are subscribed if you're not subscribed already. It really helps me out, and it would make my heart sing. You don't need to kiss me as I'm not Irish, but you should subscribe to me because that's basically the same thing. Well, enough of that. Let's get into the recipe. So in order to make traditional Irish soda bread, you're only going to be needing 4 ingredients, as I said, and they should all be ingredients you already have in your kitchen. So the 4 ingredients you're going to need are flour, baking soda, salt, and buttermilk. Now hold on, I know already you're thinking, I don't have buttermilk on deck, and I understand entirely. I personally don't have buttermilk on deck in my pantry for my kitchen staples. Well, actually be in my fridge for my kitchen staples, but regardless, not all is lost if you don't have buttermilk. You can make your own buttermilk at home. So if you have milk, white vinegar, or lemon juice, you already can make your own buttermilk. And I'm gonna show you how to do it. It's real easy. But before we get into making the buttermilk, you are just going to have to set your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Buttermilk is super easy to make on your own, and I would recommend actually doing this instead of going out and buying buttermilk, unless you have a real need to constantly make recipes that call for buttermilk. It's just very easy to have on hand when you really need it. So in a 2 cup measuring a cup, because you're going to need that to measure out both your white vinegar as well as your milk, I'm going to take this and measure out 5 teaspoons of white vinegar into my 2 cup measuring cup. And the order of how you're gonna put your vinegar to milk does matter. So you start with your vinegar or your lemon juice. If you're using lemon juice instead of white vinegar, it's the same measurement, it's 5 teaspoons. Now I'm going to take my milk and just fill it to the 1 cup and 3 quarters. So that's why you need the 2 cup measuring cup. I need a bit more milk. Be right back. Alright, so we added the last bit of milk into making our buttermilk, and it's going to need to sit for about 5 minutes because we want it to ferment, we want it to sour and really get all of that rich flavor and acidity throughout the milk. So you're going to leave this and set it off to the side for 5 minutes. But that's okay, because while this is fermenting, we're going to be able to measure out our other ingredients and get that going as well. Like I said, 5 minutes off to the side. So to measure out your dry ingredients, you're going to need 4 cups of flour. I'm using my digital measuring scale because I prefer that. So if you're using a digital scale, you're going to need 120 grams of all-purpose flour, or 4 cups of all-purpose flour. And then you're going to need a teaspoon and a half of baking soda, as well as 1 teaspoon of salt. So we're just going to go through the motions right now and fill her up. Sorry, I just realized I told you the 120 grams, that is only for 1 cup of flour. So of course you're gonna need to times that by 4, which is the correct amount, which will be, is 480 grams. That's what you're gonna need to do on your scale. Excellent. Don't put your flour away just yet, because you are going to need to flour the surface of your workstation. Not yet, because we still have to mix all of the dry ingredients together before we can add the buttermilk and then get to kneading. But since our buttermilk still needs to sit for a bit after we mix the dry ingredients together, we're gonna prepare our baking sheet. And I'll tell you how in just a second. Gonna do a quick whisk of the dry ingredients just to get them all nice and mixed together. Perfect. So when you're preparing your baking sheet, the recipe I'm using calls for a floured surface to place your dough ball on top of for baking. And what I like to do is I always like to put a bit of parchment down just to help with ease of cleanup. So with your baking sheet, you're just gonna take your parchment paper, gonna be nice and laid down. Beautiful. Put that there, and you're just gonna get a little bit of flour. I like to use like a 1/4 cup, probably high angle, just to nicely flour and disperse the flour on the baking sheet. I also like to use that same method when I'm trying to disperse flour onto the work surface for when we need. So I need to grab my 1/4 cup measuring cup. There we are. For those of you who may not have caught it, I am using regular flour. I personally cannot eat this bread, but I could make a gluten-free version of this by using the same quantity of flour, just with using gluten-free all-purpose flour as well. So I'm just going to spread about this ever so lightly. Now I'm just going to set the prepared baking sheet off to the side for when it's needed. So with this recipe, you may not even need to use the whole thing of buttermilk. Now that our buttermilk is nice and ready, what you're gonna do is you're gonna add a little bit of buttermilk at a time and mix with a wooden spoon or a regular like metal spoon, silicone spoon, whatever spoon you have on deck that's going to be big enough to help really mix the dough together. And we're wanting to get it to a nice soft sticky dough. Again, we may not need to use all of the buttermilk. It should be pretty sticky and soft dough, because we don't want to overwork the dough, because we don't want to overwork the baking soda that's within our mixture. So as I said, just gonna add a little bit at a time. And mix. And don't worry, I'm gonna show you what mine looks like when I am ready to take it out of the bowl for kneading. A little more. How many people actually celebrate St. Patrick's Day? Also, I'm so curious, maybe I'll have to look up, put somewhere on the screen some St. Patrick's Day facts while I do this, because I'm gonna be honest, I don't really know what the point of St. Patrick's Day is, other than the proverbial, let's drink green beer. and go all on about that. I don't really fully know. So if you know, let me know. A little bit more. We may be using the whole bit of buttermilk. Now we still see some dry patches. So it hasn't fully come together. Yeah, we're gonna need all of it. At least for mine. I don't know about yours, but for mine, we do need all of the buttermilk. Oh yeah. This is looking good. So if you can see here, this is the texture that, ooh, a little bit just fell. This is the texture that you're wanting for your dough. I'll bring my bowl closer to you so you can see. See, this is the consistency you should be aiming for. It's nice, it's soft and sticky. And we're gonna work it into some lightly floured surface just now. So I'll show you how to get that done. Similarly, how we did with the baking sheet, you're gonna do that exact same thing with your surface. It says just a lightly flour, so you don't need too much flour. So we are going to just put it up high and just sprinkle. Just like so. And the higher you do it, the more surface area you will cover. So taking my delightful little dough ball, we're just gonna pull it down and place it on top. Oh my god, it's so sticky. But that's exactly what we want. Try to get all that glutinous action. I've not made a gluten-free version of this, but knowing how gluten works as a protein for protein strands, if you were making a gluten-free version of this Irish soda bread, you may not have the same type of like stickiness, or may not work exactly, but it should be pretty darn close. So now, since I've gently floured the surface, I'm going to get a little bit more, just a little tiny bit of the flour, just to lightly sprinkle over top of this dough ball. Now for this recipe, you don't want to knead for too long, like 15 seconds maximum. You're just trying to get it into a shape and not trying to overwork it. So how you would knead, you're going to take some of the excess flour on here so I can flour my hands. If you got kids, and this might not be the worst kind of project, it's just kind of getting them to stop kneading. That's where you may have the problem. But they will definitely help you with eating. So I've lightly floured my hands. Just gonna get this ball together. So when you are kneading, you want to push away from you with the heels of your palms. So you can either do it with the one hand. I like to do a two motion. You pull it back towards you and then you turn it. So pull back, turn. Push, pull, turn. And again, if some of your flour is a little dispersed, you can bring it back and push, pull, turn. And then you can kind of just shape it by yourself. Not by kneading, just by rolling it around till it comes together. So I'm just gonna go over and quickly grab my sheet pan for you to show you how to do the final steps before you throw it in your oven. So we have the prepared pan here. You're just going to take your dough ball and just making it a bit more round again. Place it in the center here. And if you want it to be a little bit more domey, you can just keep it as is, or you could smoosh it down a bit. I like to smoosh mine down a bit. You're gonna get a serrated knife, and you're going to, what's that for the millionth time? You're just gonna gently flour your knife. Also, if you would like, you can also gently flour the top of your dough ball, like so. Again, just from a very high angle. I'm kind of using my already a very sticky ball, I'm just going to take a bit of flour here. I'm just going to coat nice right in it. Again, you don't need to do too much to it because it's going to fall off, but just ever so slightly. You just want to get some of it on here because it is serrated. Excellent. Now, yeah, with your lovely dough ball, you're going to now slice it and make a deep X formation. You don't want to go too deep, but you do want to make sure that it is pronounced. So let me just take it here. I'm going to go about like 2 inches in or so. And just going to do a quick slice. And then X marks the spot. This is a treasure in and of itself of a recipe. So you're just going to take it on the other end and slice as well. Perfect. Mine is a bit of an irregular X, but you know, it's not at the end of the day what it looks like, it's what it tastes like. And I'm sure my fiance will agree, this tastes pretty magic. So now we're going to pop this into our oven for 30 to 40 minutes at 400 degrees. And when we come back, I'll be taking it out and you can see the magic of what it looks like when it's finished baking and having that nice golden crust. I'm so excited. Oh, this is gonna be so good. Well, mine's got like little dredges everywhere actually, so it's gonna look quite unique. But like I said, that's the name of the game. Something with character. You like eating with character. Ta-da! Now we have our delicious traditional Irish soda bread that just freshly came out of the oven. I can't touch the pan. It is way too hot. But look at how nice and golden brown it is. You can definitely, you know, brush off some of that extra flour from the top if you like. It smells absolutely incredible. Somewhere between a fresh baked bread and a biscuit type of smell, if I can. I mean, I wish we had smell-o-vision, but we don't. And this just looks so darn good. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, it's bread. And it was super easy to make with just a few ingredients that you most likely have in your home. I mean, how incredible is this? Never needing to run out and get sandwich bread again. You just need about an hour's worth of your time. For me, in my oven, this took me about 33 minutes and I just took it out. So before you dig in, you should definitely have a cooling rack to place your loaf and then get it ready to slice in. However, if you want to eat it warm, you absolutely can. Just be careful. So I will do a, panorama of the pan so you can see more of this loaf and the color and some of the detail in it, which is just beautiful cracks from our slicing the X into half. Well, not slicing the X in half, just slicing the X in the bread. Get you a better shot. So if you enjoyed this video, please, please, please give it a like and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. It'll be the best St. Pat's gift you can give to me, even though they really don't give gifts at St. Pat's, so maybe that's a little, not relevant. But hey, if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe for more related content. And as always, thanks for playing.